friends.
Hey.
So we wanted to do a little bit of a video to give you an update of what we've been up to, and also in light of all the other things that are happening around the world. So thanks so much for sending us to Vermont. We're grateful. Our kiddos got to see snow for basically the first time, and we had some great friends let us borrow some snow stuff, and super jazzed for that opportunity for them. But yeah, I mean, it was so much more than snow. But hearing a little one pray for snow and then saying, "Guys, Jesus answered my prayer and He gave me snow," and so we just want to say, thanks for sending us, but also thanks for sending our family, and we're just grateful the Lord would answer this prayer for her to see snow in Vermont. So,
it was a conference. It was great. It was a men's conference. Iron Sharpens Iron is what it's called, and some of you may have heard of that, but it was in Burlington area. And it was just an honor and a privilege to be able to share my story of recovery from addiction, specifically sex, workaholism, and our story really, that God has really written and redeemed us in, and still we're in process in that. But let me tell you about Adam, one guy who came up afterwards, and it just reminded me a little bit of myself in the past, just in so many ways just looked like somebody who just had so many things going for him and yet was struggling. And I was the same in so many ways, in church and in ministry and on campus, sharing my faith, and yet struggling with so many things in the background of my life. So I had shared my story and challenged the guys to really step forward in faith and make that first step into a group of other men who are struggling with pornography and sex addiction and other things, and to start healing. And he said afterwards he had heard that and said, "I want to do that. Thank you for sharing your story, John." And so just I wanted to say thank you from both of us for allowing us the opportunity to be there, for praying for us, and empowering us and supporting us to get there.
And so we came home thinking that we would be on spring break at the beginning of March, and most of Florida thought they were going to be on spring break, and that was not the case. So many of you are probably also on, day 8, day 9 of quarantine. And what that means is that everybody is a little stressed out, a little tired, trying to find a new rhythm. I don't even want to call it a honeymoon, but it's like the first week is over. Your favorite snacks are gone. You're not sure if you like the people that you live with anymore. John and I were just trying to laugh at the fact that, it's hard. It's hard to manage your kids' emotions. It's hard to manage your own emotions. It's hard to experience every day like you're grieving something new. And the other thing that's the reality for many families, whether you struggle with addiction or not, is that you revert to old patterns. You kind of are like, gosh, we've done some work, and maybe it's communicating our feelings, or it's recognizing that one spouse cannot be responsible for everything and everyone. And then the craziness happens. Dan Allender is calling this trauma. He's saying we're all living with trauma. And so how we respond to that and how we react is really important. And so we're really recognizing that our ministry, we're first responders. And maybe it's not in the hospitals physically, but it's recognizing that these families have done a lot of work in recovery, and we're beginning the hard work of recovery. And now there's a thing that just came and is shaking up their worlds, and guys are working from home, and women are they're working from home too, and trying to manage families and schoolwork and all the things. Or maybe they weren't working from home, but now there's just lots of new dynamics that are happening. And so we really we're in spiritual battle right now. And so being able to recognize that, and being able to come alongside and say, hey, I see you. And I don't have it all figured out either, but man, is that the way you want to come out of this? Is that the way you want to live in freedom? And we are just praying and trying to be faithful and see that the Lord, we're going to have a lot to celebrate. We want to celebrate with people. So Yeah, what does that look like, John?
Well, I mean, just talking with the men, some of the men I served just in the last couple of days, it's just a heightened awareness of anxiety and just all sorts of things that are associated with this new pattern that's throwing things off, isolation, and not being able to connect and routinely as much. But thank God we have technology to still be able to connect without being in the same actual room. So yeah, and the spiritual warfare that goes with that too, and to be isolated, and the enemy really wants to do that, you know, and to tempt us into old patterns. But one guy that I got to really serve just by texting, he said, this is the other day, a guy named, I'll just call him Jim. He said, grateful for your help in this difficult chapter of my life. And then I said, gosh, man, I feel like I'm hardly helping, but just texting and stuff, just being real and lifting up a guy I care about, smiley face. And I just said, I just prayed for you. And so he said, honestly, between you texting, hearing me out, sending me resources, that's meant the world to me. Actually, the one that I sent him, Ellen had mentioned, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that makes sense. And so I just was honored. So anyway.
Just kidding. Totally joking.
And you know, with this virtual thing,
it's really good when you listen to your wife, though, right?
It is,
like recovery is great because it's changed life.
Yeah, and even when you actually recognize that she's right away, that's even better. Another guy, just real quick, he had his recovery. A guy I've mentored for a while, just setting up groups. Same process I've been through. He had groups starting to grow just in the last month to 3 groups all in one night. They break up into separate, smaller groups for the more private, confidential stuff, and as they go through the process. But he didn't know how to go virtual, and since we've done most of our work virtually, I was able to help him practically with that.
Really have a seamless transition. So when we think about the reality, there's so many ways that we can just step in and be willing and listen and deal with our own stuff in the midst of this, right? So that we can be healthy and responding. And so we want to invite you to pray with us for John and I would really love to spend some of this time doing story work, and for us to be able to share our story in a succinct, great way that just gets it out there, like we've just seen, especially in the Iron Sharpens Iron. Like, just sharing our stories, bringing people to a place of recognizing and choosing something different. Like, there can be hope. And so would you join us in praying for all the things that we don't even know we need yet, but we just really want to take a step towards that. And we're really grateful for you all, grateful for the opportunities to connect with you virtually. And if there is any way that we can be praying for you all, we would love the opportunity. We feel honored, actually, to be able to pray with you. So thanks for watching this video. We miss you guys.
Yes.
And we're looking forward to not being quarantined.
Yeah, I'm sure we all are. All right, good night.